Yeah, all of our discussion. I mean, you can either erase it all, or you can keep little bits. You can chop and change, whatever you want. Do what you like. I mean, I'm more than happy to discuss like this, because to me this is, you know, I'm happy with this. I sense that you're perhaps finding it a bit unsatisfactory at times, but because perhaps it's not going how you would like it to. But then again,
no, I don't really mind. I'm not frustrated with this, because this is daily life. This is everywhere the same, and this is just an opportunity for me to hopefully convey the actual reality of it all. What it is not. It hasn't any meaning. I may be showing some frustration, but it's so meaningless.
Yeah.
It doesn't really mean it's empty.
What is?
The whole reality field.
You mean
the whole field is.
You talk about the illusory field?
Yeah, everything we do.
Yeah, this world. I mean,
yes, this world.
Yeah. Okay, but you see, I'm hearing you, and yet it still sounds quite foreign to me. It really does still sound quite foreign to me.
Foreign? What is foreign?
Foreign, like otherworldly.
Otherworldly?
Yeah, it's not to me. What you're saying is that, you know, everything around us is illusion. Well, I would say
no, inside us. Not around us. Around us is reality.
Okay.
But inside us is illusion, and
Is
the whole reality we create in the reality is illusion.
Alright, so you're saying that this isn't recorded right now?
Well, it doesn't matter.
It matters not there. But, okay, so what you're saying is that everything around us is real, but it's how we inwardly perceive that reality, that either distorts it and makes it an illusion, or actually doesn't distort it and makes it perfect reality. You know, true reality, real, as opposed to just a sort of some kind of illusory picture which we're distorting it into. You see, okay, so you see, I had a dream the other night whereby I was chatting with this guy, and he was very, very mind orientated. He was like fixated on everything being sort of, if you like, dictated by the mind. And I actually said to him in my dream, I said, it's so simple. Our entire reality is generated from our hearts. Every single thing that we perceive outside of us is generated from within our hearts. And he said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, put it this way, how I perceive reality is completely different from how somebody else will perceive reality. In other words, everybody perceives reality based on how clear they allow their heart to broadcast their outer world.
The problem is that people are living in ideas and thoughts. They are just reproducing the thoughts. And it may be a very beautiful thought or a very ugly thought, but they are doing the same thing.
But you see, in the example,
they are just reproducing the thought. They are not thinking. They experience something, and then they bring the experience to the fore. You have a dream, you talk about the dream. You just live in this image. It's your perception that this is something like this, and then you say it is like this. But you don't see things as they are here now. You don't seem to be able to just look things as they are now.
Okay, I can just focus on you as an individual right now, and I can say to myself, right, here is somebody who...
This is an idea.
No, this is reality. This is real.
You can't define me. You can't say here is someone who is... You don't know.
No,
I'm only putting forth all that you know is just fantasy.
You're very challenging, and I mean, what I like, without sounding patronising, is the fact that I could be speaking with anybody else, and they'll either be saying that's a load of rubbish, or they'd be saying, yeah, okay. But what I like about you is the fact that you're not agreeing necessarily with anything that I'm saying. But at the same time, it's not degenerating into some kind of nasty, unpleasant argument. It's really good. I mean, I'm I don't expect you to agree with anything I say necessarily, or even to do anything. But I do appreciate where you're coming from with this, because it's certainly not an angle that I otherwise consider.
Can we consider that all that we do has been based on some positive readiness and nothing more than that? I'm not saying to ourselves, this positive readiness has created this world or any fantasy. Just see it for what it is. It is just one simple positive readiness. There's nothing more than that. That's all this reality is about. But there is so much more. There is only one thing, and we think it's so important. That this positive readiness is manipulated into the biggest lie of all time.
Okay, I've not heard the term positive readiness. I've not heard those two words put together like that. What do you mean exactly by positive readiness?
Openness, goodness.
Okay.
Just the quality of our heart. But it hasn't done anything yet. It is not creating a shift or it is just there and it is waiting.
Right, now, are you talking collectively or on an individual basis?
I'm always talking individually and collectively same.
But are you including yourself in that?
Yeah. And that. I'm nothing more. I'm not elevated into any realization beyond that. I have no bigger vision than this one magnificent sight of reality as it is. Because it can be anything. It can be positive readiness, or it can be very special, but it is always the same field, and I propose to go beyond it, and we do it.
From the sounds of it, what you're saying is this positive readiness, this kind of goodness that you're talking about, isn't possible for any individual. It has to be a collective thing.
No, I think every individual has this. It is not collectively used because it is impossible. It is impossible because of the people who generate the idea that they are into some change that they really create. That's why it is impossible to be collectively used. My mindset is very simple.
It's a real
It's a bugger.
It's a toughie for me to take on board this, because you see,
you can't take it on board, because if you really consider it and see the reality and the truth of it, you can only change by it, because it is if this is true, then it will change you. If the entity that's standing up for change is the creator of the problem that makes the change necessary, then the transformation is irrevocable.
But surely the entity that's created the mess for a reason, for a purpose, can then, as is I feel happening now, can repair and enable people to change their behaviour so that the shift occurs, this shift into a more enlightened...
He's the creator of the problem.
Sorry?
He cannot repair anything. He's the creator.
But the creator can do anything. It can create the mess. It can create the cleanup. Surely. For a reason. Not just for the heck
No,
of it.
wait. No, it's, I think about a baby. It's very simple. A baby who makes a mess of the room, he cannot clean it up. It's just
but that's suggesting that the creator is in a similar state as a baby, and to me, the creator is not a baby. The baby is what a lot of us are. We're being created, albeit by a collective version of ourselves, to experience this separation, whereby we are all beginning to realize this mess that we created individually and collective.
We created.
Well, okay, you're using the present tense there, but to be able to view the passing through time as being a passage through, in our case, passing through the past.
This passing through time is the actual deed of messing up.
However, if you look at...
You don't see things as they are, you just go into your mind. When I say something, you don't go into it. Every time you say something, I go into it.
Okay, alright. Alright, you talk about what we create. You're talking in the present tense. Would you not agree that yes, everything is in the present, but you as an individual, all of us as individuals, have chosen to be here at this particular passage of time, which is a constant flow of nowness.
It's not a constant flow of nowness, it's a passage of time. It's going from past to future and present. It's just a nest. Eternally.
Okay.
It's a pocket. Maybe we may talk about this nowness. But
we're living. Okay, so we're in a transitory state, moving through. I mean, you see, I kind of almost liken it to moving through.
It's a timely state, a temporary state. It's a temporary state. It's not a transitional state. It's just. It's a temporary state, and because it's temporary, you can say it's a passage. It's a transitionary period from one to the other, but actually it can go on forever, or it can never be there.
Okay.
It's not something that means a higher step of evolution.
Right. Okay. So
it's an experience that will prove unnecessary.
Okay, so I'm feeling that what you're saying is that. Yeah, which I kind of agree with to a large degree, that the reality that we're experiencing through time is more of just like being in a movie, which is like has infinite frames, should we say, or near infinite frames, and we're caught in a particular passage of that movie, and all that's happening is as we move through it, that nothing is really changing. It's just constantly looping, and the way that you're talking is to actually be able to move outside of that constantly looping set of frames and move out of the frames altogether into a more permanent reality rather than this temporary reality that we experience frame by frame.
I don't know how permanent anything should be, but it will be certainly more clear, and maybe that will be a transitional state. I don't know. but you cannot fantasize about it.
So this, when you talked earlier about this opening that's available, but people aren't going through it, you're not sure what that opening goes into, what it's like.
I don't know, it's just an opening. What you see in the opening may be a reflection. So I'm sitting with everyone before the opening, camera, and I say, I'm interested in the opening. That's something very special, and I know everyone is interested in the opening. Just joking with you. You see, it's so simple. It's just complete waking up to the reality of us as children in this simple situation of sitting before an opening where everyone is interested in it and is joking about it, that they have already gone through it, like some cool adolescent, but they're drunk.
Or deluding themselves.
Yeah, that they have experienced it in other dimensions. There's no other dimensions.
What do you mean there are no dimensions?
Yeah, I meant that they have experienced that they were in other dimensions experiencing this, but that's not the case. It's like dreaming about something and thinking you were in another dimension, but the dreaming state was a kind of dream.
Yeah, but there's meaning in the dream, in every dream, for the individual.
No, maybe there are dreams you go into other dimensions, but when you think you have gone into another dimension and had the experience of this grand portal, then you just delude yourself.
You see, people talk about other dimensions, but to me, I would ask you, how would you describe other dimensions? For example, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh dimensions. How would you describe them to somebody who's firmly entrenched in, the three dimensions in time?
What dimension?
Hey?
What dimension?
How would you describe the fifth, sixth, and seventh dimensions to an individual who's not familiar with even the possibility that they exist? How would you describe those dimensions to you?
I would feel no need to describe them.
Okay, you wouldn't feel a need to, but you see, to me, those other dimensions are quite important, because if they exist, which I of course I believe they do, things such as dreams feature in that. So I'm not saying that you can pin a particular number dimension within the dream, but the dream is created for the individual on a very, it's a very personal.
No, I'm very interested in reality as it is. When we have this talk, there's so many interesting things. We can go into so many interesting things as they are, as in reality. But we never do that. That's why I say, can we begin? Can we do it? You always talk about an idea, something else that is detracting from the grand portal. grand portal is the simple.
Yeah, if we're talking about something which is like the real, I was going to say the crux, but it's the real kind of purpose behind our collective existence to make that discovery and to apply it into our daily lives.
I don't know if that is the purpose, but it would be a great thing maybe.
Yeah. Because ultimately, particularly once it's accepted by the religious communities, as well as all the cultures of the world, that's going to be. I mean, how would you see that discovery changing the world that we live in right now?
I would see it as a very simple thing where everything falls into a different order where everything that comes up is taken for what it really means, and the opportunity is put there by the local authority to go with that, go further in that, and it's a different world order. We're very simple, whereas now it is just being denied and tampered with by people who make it seem as if they understand.
You see, discussing the implications of that discovery is kind of something which, to me, is kind of like speculation, really, because isn't it really more important to perhaps look at what it will take to make that discovery happen sooner than it is actually stated to happen? Would you say that that's an important and worthy thing to be looking at? Yeah. Well, we're definitely in agreement on that one. So the question then arises, if, let's say, when James talks about it happening in approximately 70 years, he's talking from a point of view where he knows that that's already happened.
I guess this person makes it seem as if he has experienced a real change in his life.
Okay. So, in other words, he has made the discovery, and he alone has made the discovery. But
he alone in his community, probably.
Right. Okay.
But who knows? Maybe there's a bunch of them.
Yeah. And that being the case, how on earth do you disseminate that information so that it's not so that it's actually accepted rather than actually just...
You just have to understand yourself and live from that understanding and communicate from that understanding, and you cannot go wrong. But if you don't know for sure what you're doing, then don't do as if you know.
You see, to me, what this kind of is about is this kind of realization that at least one and perhaps a group of people have already experienced this discovery, and it's waiting for the rest to I don't know whether it's about the rest to discover it for themselves or whether it's...
It is. If you want to prove this scientifically, then you need scientists who discovered it already for themselves.
Which to me is saying that James and these other people are not necessarily scientists. No. Possibly, but not necessarily. See, if you see, to me, if that's already occurred, then why would it not be the case that it was being disseminated to the scientific community now?
I understand the problem, but just as you said before, it's speculation anyway, and we should be more interested into.
Yeah. Okay, so not with me not being a traditional scientist or whatever, then if I was to say, well, this discovery is very important.
But anyway, if you really go near this opening into awareness, you become a scientist with your own reality. They have talked of masters and mastership, but actually this was a limited view of what it means to be scientific with your own life.
So, but this is not the traditional scientist, the sort of, if you like, the...
No, it's not the traditional.
No, it's not like someone who's gone through university and got degrees and got all these different qualifications and learnt a very systematic form of science, which actually is quite sort of limited. It's actually a very individualized form of intelligence, which is being created, which is far more expensive and encompassing.
No, it's being created.
Well, you're tapping into it.
Yes. You're access your own energy field.
And this energy field, you're talking about your local multiverse, your soul.
Yes, your own reality.
Yeah, but that is your soul. Your quantum presence.
Well, that is to be proven yet. But what does it mean? Soul? It's just a word.
It is, but it's been kind of updated with the words quantum presence. Yeah?
Quantum presence, and what does it mean?
Well, what does that mean? And to me, I would say that your quantum presence is that aspect of you which, although we can't see it.
Is it actually? It is. Wait, you continue.
Well, I was going to say, although you can't see it, you know that it's there, and that it's actually constantly working in perfect synchronization with.
Look, this is an idea. What you say is a complete speculative
Okay, all right,
idea.
yeah.
But what does it mean? A quantum presence. It means a presence, something that is here now, something that is here now, something that is there, and it is quantified.
Okay.
It has a numerological value. It's measurable. Whereas the soul may be something immeasurable. See, don't live in words or ideas. Just speak and live.
Yeah, but you see, again, going back to the James and Mark interview, when it talks about how...
No, stay here. When someone would see us talking like this, it would be very, very complicated for them. Even as scientists, because they have their own meanings and understanding. But if you go into it like that, you can never go anywhere. You just have to think now.
Okay. Alright.
Really
Okay, well,
think.
alright.
Don't live with thoughts, but think.
Okay.
It's a whole different life.
Alright, well, okay, what? Okay, I put quantum presence as just being a more updated version of description of the soul. Okay? But listening to what you just said, that quantum presence is something that's measurable, whereas the soul isn't necessarily measurable.
I don't know.
No.
But if I hear the word quantum presence, it's something measurable.
Yes.
When I hear the word soul, I think about something immeasurable.
Yeah. So, aren't we, by changing the definition of what the soul is, are we not
limiting?
Yeah. Well, I was actually going to say, are we making it more attainable to be able to prove its existence by actually making it measurable?
Yeah, that's the idea.
Right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. It doesn't necessarily, say much more than that at this stage, but at least it makes it something that can be proven to exist because it's measurable. Yeah. Okay.
But then again, you can say it's not the soul because it's measurable.
Yeah.
And that would make sense.
But then perhaps what would happen is that although it can be quantified, it will actually be shown that actually it is unlimited in scope because of its holographic nature, perhaps. Because within that measurable aspect, there is this paradoxical, unlimited dimension to it all, which transcends these dimensions that most of us accept as our reality. In other words, the three dimensions of time.
First, we have to, oneself has to go into a new field of vibration. If you remain within the illusion and the thoughts, and you can never do it. But this problem, you can't go there because you're immersed into the systems of the mind. And that's the whole point. Is it possible to shift from one to the other? That's it. That's basic concept. How can a scientist scientist, he has to change. He has to go to a new realization. And he may have great ideas, but that was all an illusion.
You see, scientist is a scientist doesn't find certainty in what. The scientist does not find certainty. It's looking for certainty, but it doesn't ever find it, does it?
Yes, it's a false. I don't know the word in English. You have to be able to falsify the theory.
Yeah, you have to be able to. Yeah. And that's all they do. They just, when somebody comes up with something new, then it's up to everybody else to disprove it.
Yeah, but I'm saying, let alone what their work, first they have to change. If they will change, their work will be different. It's not about their work, it's about them.
You see, I kind of.
I'm considering a scientist who has had great ideas. He's ready to consider that it was all somehow contaminated by illusion, and he's considering a total new possibility of seeing things as they are. How can he go there? How can he see things as they are?
Well, we haven't talked about the heart too much, but would it be fair to say that having more of a heart-focused view on everything would make a big difference?
Yes.
Because, yeah, I mean, it is realised that the heart contains the neurons, and the neurons are, form of brain and intelligence, which, is perhaps only just really being seriously looked at by the scientific community. It is being looked at. It hasn't been in the past much, whatever the past is, but it's only now that it is being looked at. I'm aware of that, and the more that's focused on, and the more it's realised that it's if you like, when it's allowed to be the, as we say, governing intelligence of the individual, which is actually going back to how this quantum presence of the soul.
It's like we are suspended in some state where we have small realization, but we don't really go into the opening. How can the scientist really change? He must do it all by himself. He cannot share this with anyone.
I don't know if I'm interpreting what you just said as being this, but are you saying that when the irrefutable scientific discovery of the human soul is made, it's actually made not by a scientist or a bunch of scientists who then disseminate it. It's actually, those scientists are us as individuals, and we all discover it individually, and it's not.
Yes, but you're interested. You put it on that plane of scientific discovery and proof, and if you want to go there, you need scientists who change. So now we're talking about a scientist who has to change, not you, but a scientist. You may be that scientist, but
wow.
I'm proposing a new kind of communication. It's not easy. It's completely different. You don't know what it will be, but it has its own rules. Science follows strict.
It's like last night when we said goodnight. I went to bed and I was just really exhausted. I had hit the pillow. I managed to stay awake for about a minute or two, and in that minute or two, the normal things I'd be thinking of, I couldn't be asked. I thought they're not important. I'm just gonna just spend the next minute or two just reflecting on what we discussed that night, and then I was out, and I was really tired. It's like now, I mean, I'm tired mentally, but that's again because part of the disconnect from the mind, as I see it, is that essentially, in a way, it's a paradox because everything disappears, but then you get what replaces everything is something else, which is actually it kind of, in a way, it's almost exactly the same, but it's not. It's something completely different. It's like it's been replaced by a doppelganger, which has a completely different energy. It's you know.
It's the strangeness of it is that you don't know what it will take.
The form it will take.
What it will take from you.
Oh, I see. Take from you. Yeah, I hadn't considered that because what you're doing is you're. I hadn't even thought of that. But it's clearly potentially a part of it. You would perhaps say that it is part of it, that something will go. No?
Something will go?
Well, you're saying.
No, I mean, what will it take from you to do this?
Oh, right, okay, sorry, I'm slightly different definition of what would it take from you. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, two different ways at least. But anyway, what would it take? Yeah, what would it take? What would it take? Well, you see, on one hand, one of the biggest motivators is fear and fear of loss and all that kind of stuff. Loss of your own life, perhaps, or the loss of other people that are close to you. You know, and then you start thinking, this is not.
And it will not take. It doesn't have to take that.
No.
The strange thing about this is that you don't know what it will be.
No.
And that is the adventure. But it's also the exhausting part because when you are used to function in habits and routines, then you have all your energy in those patterns, and it's very difficult to have your energy freely flowing.
Yeah, you kind of, it's almost like you're carving completely new channels for this energy.
Yes, and you know that the carvings you leave are not to be ever went through again by you.
No.
It's forever gone. That's the transformation. The whole creation becomes the past.
Okay. Yeah. And I think what you just said, although it makes sense, just